A few years ago, I found myself staring at an Excel spreadsheet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was trying to calculate exactly how much money I would need to retire without becoming a financial burden to my children, or even worse, having to work myself to exhaustion until my final days. As the final target number flashed on the screen, a cold shiver ran down my spine. It was a massive, staggering figure. It felt so distant, so completely out of reach, that every little bit of money I was scraping together to save at that moment suddenly felt tiny and meaningless. That was the exact moment I realized a terrifying paradox facing our generation. We desperately want a secure future, yet we are constantly paralyzed by fear. We are afraid of inflation eroding our hard-earned savings. We are afraid of the next stock market crash, and deep down, we are afraid that we simply are not smart enough to play this complex financial game. That overwhelming sense of helplessness often drives us to a breaking point, where we choose to just look away, blind spend whatever we have left, and whisper to ourselves a dangerous lie. Let's just see what happens. It was during that period of sheer panic that I stumbled upon a completely different perspective. I began looking at Japan, a nation facing one of the fastest aging populations in the world, yet managing the crisis with an incredible sense of calm. Have you ever wondered how elderly people in Tokyo or Kyoto maintain such a peaceful, self-reliant, and dignified life in their retirement years? As it turns out, their secret has nothing to do with high-risk trades, volatile assets, or making it rich overnight. Instead, it is anchored in a beautiful harmony between ancient life philosophies and highly structured modern financial tools, designed specifically for those who choose the path of quiet wealth. In today's fast-paced culture of hyperconsumption and rapid trading, we are constantly bombarded with stories of overnight success. Online communities and social media chat rooms are filled with voices urging us to buy this specific stock or jump into that volatile asset, promising to double or triple our money in just a few short months. This relentless pressure has turned investing into a suffocating race, an emotional roller coaster filled with friction, anxiety, and the constant fear of missing out. But the general approach in Japan to protecting the future is built on something entirely different. It is slower, clearer, and far more intentional. To be fair, not every Japanese citizen is a financial mastermind, and their society certainly carries its own economic heavyweights and pressures. Yet, there is a deeply shared worldview among the population. They do not view preparing for retirement as a series of risky bets. Instead, they see it as a marathon against time, a long journey where steady discipline is valued far above a lucky gamble. This video is not going to hand you a magical formula to become a millionaire in 30 days. Instead, we are going to break down the 4 core principles behind how the Japanese build a secure retirement fund. You will discover how to bring these timeless philosophies into your own daily life, allowing you to transform investing from a source of constant anxiety into a quiet, steady stream of energy that protects you from whatever storms the economy may bring. The first pillar is Chokin, a concept that completely redefines how we look at savings. For most people, saving money is simply an afterthought. It is whatever happens to be left over at the very end of the month after all the bills are paid and the desires are met. But the Japanese practice Chokin with a completely different mindset. It is the deliberate act of setting aside a specific portion of your income the exact moment your paycheck arrives, long before you even think about spending a single dime. The real struggle for most young professionals today is not necessarily that they do not earn enough money. The problem is that they are operating a financial lifestyle without a filter. When payday comes, the money flows out automatically for rent, dining out, shopping, and entertainment, while we make a vague promise to ourselves that we will invest whatever is left over. The predictable result is that the remaining balance is always zero. Let me share the story of a friend of mine named Kenji, an office worker earning an average salary in Osaka. Kenji never looks at his total paycheck as money available to spend. The very first thing he does on payday is automate a transfer of 20% of his earnings into a separate account he calls his future fund. He has trained his mind to live fully and happily on the remaining 80%. The psychological insight here is profound. The true power of Chokin does not lie in how large or small the initial amount is. It lies in the elimination of emotional decision-making. When you turn accumulation into an automated system that happens before consumption, you completely remove the temptation of mindless spending. Chokin is the foundational brick of this entire system. However, the Japanese also understand that if you leave that cash sitting idly in a traditional savings account, inflation will silently erode its purchasing power over time. That is exactly why they step onto the second rung of the ladder, shifting this money into long-term investment channels through the principle of Kaizen. But if you think that the Japanese simply leave their money sitting passively in a bank account and pray for the best, what comes next will completely reshape how you look at the financial markets. Because they possess an incredibly smart investment strategy, one that turns what most people consider boring into their greatest ally against any economic crisis. That brilliant strategy is Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous improvement through the smallest possible actions. In the financial world, the Japanese put this into practice through a system called sumitate, which is closely mirrored by the Western concept of dollar-cost averaging. Instead of trying to time the market, predicting when it will hit rock bottom to buy or peak to sell, a guessing game where even seasoned financial professionals routinely fail, the Japanese choose to invest a fixed amount of money into a safe asset class on the exact same day every single month. They do this regardless of whether the market is up or down. Imagine you invest $100 every month into a simple index fund that reflects the broader economy. When the market drops, assets become cheaper, meaning your $100 automatically buys you more shares. When the market climbs, assets become expensive, so your $100 buys you fewer shares. Over time, this repetitive automated Kaizen action organically balances out your average purchase price at a highly efficient level. The Japanese utilize this strategy extensively through state-backed investment programs known as iDeCo, an individual voluntary retirement account, and NISA, a tax-free investment account. These frameworks allow everyday citizens to channel small, monthly contributions into broad global or national index funds, completely sheltering their investment gains from taxes. The profound psychological insight here is that they do not chase the dopamine rush of fluctuating stock charts. They find deep peace in consistency. Investing through Kaizen turns time into your greatest ally, rather than your worst enemy. However, steady accumulation is only half of the equation. In a modern financial landscape filled with hidden traps disguised as golden opportunities, the Japanese rely on a second layer of defense to protect their hard-earned capital. This is where the spirit of Kodawari comes into play. Kodawari is defined as the pursuit of perfection, an uncompromising devotion to a specific standard and an intense attention to detail. When selecting where to commit their retirement wealth, the Japanese apply Kodawari by firmly saying no to anything they do not fully understand. Today's financial markets are flooded with overly complex products and trendy investment fads that carry high systemic risks. Many of us dive blindly into these waves simply out of the fear of missing out. In sharp contrast, an investor guided by Kodawari will strip away the noise to meticulously analyze the underlying cost structures and total transparency of a fund. They heavily favor low-cost index funds because they understand that over a span of 30 years, high management fees are the silent parasites that eat away at long-term compound interest. A seemingly trivial $5 wasted on management fees each month can quietly strip away tens of thousands of dollars from your ultimate retirement nest egg. This brings us to the realization that smart investing is not about making all the right guesses, but about having the discipline to reject unnecessary risks. Once you master the art of keeping your money safe, the ultimate question inevitably surfaces: what exactly are you accumulating this wealth for? The Japanese answer this fundamental question through the lens of Ikigai. Your reason for waking up in the morning. Why do we truly invest? Is our ultimate endgame just a massive number on a bank statement, so we can sit on a beach and do absolutely nothing? For many elderly citizens in Japan, retirement does not mark the end of activity. It is completely normal to see older individuals staying active by managing local railway stations, tending to community gardens, or engaging in neighborhood craftsmanship. They do not accumulate wealth to fund a lavish, showy lifestyle. They invest to buy back their absolute autonomy. Having a safe, predictable retirement fund simply means you possess the power of choice. You can choose to continue a craft you love without the suffocating weight of financial survival, and you can choose to grow old with dignity, completely free from the dependency on anyone else. Because at the end of the day, true wealth is not measured by the size of your portfolio, but by the ultimate peace of mind you feel when you wake up each morning. When you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you can see how these four pieces fit together to create a single, unified financial operating system. Chokin ensures that you secure your capital the moment it is generated, building a fence around your money before the world has a chance to tempt you. Kaizen channels that capital into the market with absolute consistency, transforming the passage of time into your ultimate compounding asset lever. Kodawari grants you the clarity to strip away unnecessary risks, protecting your wealth from hidden fees and deceptive traps. And finally, Ikigai anchors your mind to the true purpose of that money, reminding you that you are not collecting numbers, but buying back a life of deep meaning and absolute freedom. Individually, each philosophy might sound simple, almost ordinary, but when they are practiced together, day after day, they fuse into an unbreakable shield that protects your future from any storm. You do not need an extraordinary income, nor do you need to become a brilliant financial expert to begin securing your future. What you need first is simply the courage to step outside the continuous cycle of instant gratification. Take a gentle step back and begin paying close attention to the smallest accumulations of today. Quiet wealth and a peaceful retirement are never built on sensational, overnight decisions. They are quietly planted at the exact moment you decide to set aside those very first resources to invest in the person you will become 30 years from now. If this video has offered you a new, slower, and more peaceful perspective on money, please hit the subscribe button to walk alongside me on this journey. And I would truly love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you started building your retirement fund yet? And which Japanese philosophy discussed today resonates most deeply with your personal lifestyle? Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing our next stories together.